Hey everybody, it's Christine. I have noticed so far on Google Plus and a bit on YouTube that a lot of Wiccans this year are, and just witches in general, a lot of us seem to be reconnecting with the tarot. Um, I had started taking classes through the coven that I attend occasionally, and like the next class I can't attend because I have too many work shifts to deal with, and that happens. But we're talking about the witch's toolbox, and the first session was about astrology. Um, Mind you, the astrology we were learning is quite a bit different than what you find for horoscopes in the newspaper. For anyone who's not in the know, there's an awful lot of tables. There's a lot of um, psychology involved in it too, and it's a complex process to be able to get a reading on an individual person. The stuff you find in the newspaper is extremely general and can be attributed to anybody, regardless their birth sign, and it's kind of BS most of the time. Same thing with tarot. Now, I do have several friends who are atheists, and most of the time when you see tarot, you're not working with it. You're thinking of the gypsy fortune teller, and she's telling you the future and all of this. Um, there are several spreads and several ways to read the cards that going from reading a single day to an overall review of the year and stuff like that. There's different purposes to different decks as well. Like here I have, for myself, I have the Favol Tarot, which I use for personal readings, or had been. Now I'm going through the exercises of relearning all the cards, journaling everything that I can about each card every day when I pull the card out, and just trying to relearn how the deck works. Um, this one I haven't really determined how I'm going to use it in readings yet, if that will be for other people or not. The two decks are extremely different. So decks can be different. The uses for them can be different. Some people have several decks that they use just for reading for other people, things like that. But while there can be, when you're reading for others, a measure of cold reading, and anybody who says that they don't do it is kind of lying. Um, while there will be a lot of intuition and a lot of spiritual work in reading a tarot for another person, there still is some measure of cold reading. And I run into this as well when I'm face painting at pagan events. There will be times that I do some cold reading, the rest of it's based on my intuition and just what my feelings are. Generally, I'm spot on with what the person wants, but how much of it is me picking up on what I want, and how much of it is what the other person wants. While I do believe in um, psychic abilities and things like that, I also try to keep an open mind into the psychology of what it is that I'm doing and what I'm practicing. The same thing does occur with tarot. The reason why cold reading and having an understanding of how people work and how to interact with people, it goes in any group reading, or uh, show doing tarot work with another person, is because you are dealing with another person. If you're doing it for yourself, you have to have an understanding of yourself, and you also need to be able to look at the good and the bad in yourself and not be afraid to be honest. So the tarot is kind of a psychological tool as well as a fortune telling tool, or a way of communicating with the gods or with the spirits. Um, any misconceptions for people who are Christian who are watching this? I mean, evangelicals in general. Uh, we do not worship the cards. We do not, and I have to say this because I just had a Muslim come up with this lately. We do not worship statues. We do not worship inanimate objects. While we think that natural objects out there in the world will probably, a lot of us feel that there is spiritual energy throughout the entire planet. That doesn't mean that we worship the objects themselves. And I just had to get that out there because it's kind of irritating me. I apologize. So this is a temporary altar setup. As I said, I'm relearning the cards. I have not touched tarot for years. These two decks I've been sitting on. This one was released the year or two after the card game Magic the Gathering had been released. And this is Dragon Tarot by the guy who did the Dragon card game. Peter Perkanowick was the artist. And I liked the artwork and I was a fan of the artist, so I went and turned around and bought the deck and then did not connect with it. And I had it up on eBay. I had several decks up on eBay and I sold all of them except this one. And I finally just gave up and packed it in a box, and there it sat. Well, and I'm sorry for the camera shaking. I'm holding this and I have a tendency to do some shaking. I apologize. Anyway, somebody who was in the coven with me, extremely wonderful person. She passed away last year. Dragons were her spirit guides, and she was very much into anything dealing with spiritual activity with dragons. And this deck is extremely powerful in its symbolism and with the creature that it's focused on, because dragon is not a weak little thing by any shape or form. Because of her, I think I've kind of reconnected with it a little bit, and I've got the desire to work with it. And the Favol Tarot, again, is another one that is not a weak deck. This is a vampire-based deck. The artist is Victoria Francis, and she is from Spain. Her work can be extremely dark, bloody, but yet beautiful, and yeah, there's butt cheeks. Yes. Gorgeous, gorgeous cards. And I'm almost sad to use this one because it's like, I really would hate to, sorry, that was upside down. I really would hate to have these cards get damaged. Her work is stunning, stunning. So sometimes, even if you're not into reading tarot, sometimes just having a collection of these decks is fun, especially if you really like the artwork. This is a cheap way to get the artwork. Well, at most you're going to spend about $32, maybe $35 on a deck. What a great way to have the artwork. Heck, bind the cards in plastic sleeves and, you know, just use it as a little book to look through your picture book, you know. I mean, why not? So even if you don't believe in the craft or whatever, there's several sites. Amazon, Eye of Horus, which is Minneapolis-based store, eBay. There's all sorts to get some beautiful, beautiful decks. I've done the Viscount video before, and I've focused on the cards, each individual one. The cards themselves are gold-leafed. This one I'm afraid to use because it is just that gorgeous. So yeah, just the artwork alone. Even if you don't believe in this stuff, like I said, if you want a cheap way to get some really good art, this is the way to do it. Anyway, on the card a day exercise, and there's a Google Plus friend of mine, Patricia Patty Pat, who is got a blog where she's discussing her card of the day. I will put her link in the crotch bar. And what she's doing, though, is she's actually, it looks like, not only studying the cards, but using them as a way to look at each individual day as it's going to happen. And that's kind of where I'm going. And what you're doing is you're just drawing one card. Now, the reason why I have two different cards out, one from each deck, see, I separate out my working deck. I have a magnet that pretty much goes with this deck. It's a bookmark, and it helps me just single out the one card to focus on it every day. So this is what I drew, and I kept it the right way. It was reversed. Okay, so this was yesterday's reading. I had issues at work that made me feel extremely trapped. Going back and analyzing the day after I got done, brought up a lot of old issues for me, about feeling like I had no control in the situation. And honestly, I didn't. There was nothing I could do about it. It was either I stayed extra hours or a patient ended up in the hospital because there was nobody to take care of them. Wasn't my fault. Wasn't, it was other people's fault. But again, because it was in the hands of other people, I kind of had to deal with the anger issues. And I come from a life where I did not have a lot of control for a very, very long time. So this card did kind of apply. So, but that's looking back, that's hindsight. So what I've been doing in my journal, and you can see I had just started on this journal. Every day I'll pull out a card. I have to do today's reading yet, but I will do a description of the card, write it down, and then what the card means. And then I will also do a different one for the Dragon Tarot. I'll pull out the same card just to see what the difference in symbolism is between the two decks. I use purple for the dragon, I use green for the favole, and of course I have a nice new blank book. Now, not everybody draws nice and neat. As you can see here, I didn't do a detailed drawing either, and I was being a bit lazy as far as I'm having some handshaking today. I didn't feel like doing a lot of writing, so I just quickly drew the image out. This book also, I wrote down the numbers for the major arcana, what each card, its number correspondence is. Favole is actually a Rider-Waite deck in the book, and I don't have the book itself. I don't know what happened to it. It's someplace in a box. But like the butterflies are swords. What Eye of Horus was able to come up with is that, you're going by what the images actually mean normally on a normal Rider-Waite, and then what they could interpret from this, because there was nothing in the book saying what each one of these means. So there's butterflies, there's masks for wands, the handheld masks like the old masquerade ones. There is crosses, which are the variant of the pentacle or the coin. And what's the other one? The black roses. And yeah, so, or flowers, and that's your cups, which I suppose, a flower is collecting water, so, when it's growing. And Mina has to put in her 2 cents worth. So, I put in the details. I use several websites to look up each card. I don't go with just one, although I found a lot of luck with Biddy Tarot is the name of the site. Another site I was able to go and look up the birth card for based on my birth date. And the birth card saying which major arcana card is mine, which happens to be the Magician, which is power, skill, concentration, action, resourcefulness. And pretty much fits, but I'm actually going to be studying more of the major arcana regarding birth cards, because I kind of want to see how general those things are. Like I said, regarding the generalness that you'll find in a public, like, newspaper horoscope. I'm curious as to what birth cards, how much of it is just general information that could apply to anybody. So again, there's the skeptical thing. So how I'm approaching this is not just spiritual practice, but I do try to keep a little bit of skepticism in there and analyzing things, and I don't think that's hurting my interaction with the cards in any way, shape, or form. So today I'll be drawing another set of cards out of this, another card out of this deck, and then journal about it and all of that. So Otherwise, you know, my little portable altar set up here until I can get the altar by my bed that I'm making, get that set up. So right now I have Robin Wood fairy piece and another little fairy from the Renaissance Festival that were just too cute. So yeah, it's kind of my portable altar. And when I went to, I've had this fabric from India for several years, which is generally where I do my readings, but I really need to iron this because, like I said, this just sat for the longest time. But I have several cloths from India. And then what really made everybody laugh at the Coven class was, yes, my tarot cards are in a My Little Pony lunchbox. Okay. So there you go. And that's the embarrassing tidbit for the end of this video. You guys have a great day. Blessed be everybody.